Hello guys, today we're going to be talking about something pretty cool that few people know about Blender, viewport shading, and the way you can visualize few things that it's not easy achievable by the regular polygon. Let's say that you have a big building and you have lots of things inside and you want to select, deselect things. What we normally do is we go for wireframe mode and then we select what is there, we zoom in and then we work on it, or we isolate it on it. That's an option that you have in both softwares. You have in Blender and you have in Emacs. For example, I'm going to demonstrate here. If we go to edit this polygon, for example, and you want to take the gear and try to select, and then you zoom in, right? And then you start to work on it. But as you can see, sometimes you go outside, so you don't have a very good control. You know, there's those things that goes in front of the camera, and maybe you want to go here, or you want to go maybe here. You go zoom in, but you have to do this, and then you have a couple of limitations when the scene is very big, or when you have lots of things inside the building or inside the room or inside an object. You want to tweak here and there. It's the workaround that we normally do, or we go to wireframe and then we select what's going on here, right? It's pretty much the same thing in Blender as well, but I'm gonna show you another option you have in Blender to tweak that, which for me personally I've been using a lot in professional jobs, and it saves a lot of time and energy trying to select things and work around and changing things inside an object when the mesh is very dense, right? This is the guy. It's the same car, right, in Blender. So basically the work is more or less the same, right? If you want to select this guy here, for example, you have to go here inside and then you select here, right? The same thing. You zoom in, I'm pressing the max shortcuts. It happens a lot, right? And then you keep changing here, there, you keep going. The mesh here is in Blender is triangulated because it brings the car from Max into Blender to have the same car, and then I triangulated it. I don't know, I did this, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and I don't know why I did that. It's not my approach anymore. So, but here you go. So first difference, right? In Max you have the wireframe mode here. This is the wireframe mode, right? So it's pretty good, pretty clean. You can see everything. You can see it's pretty good. The wireframe in Blender is a little bit different, and I like more in Blender. I'm gonna explain why. Because if you go to your wireframe mode, if you go to your wireframe mode, right? It's the same thing. Nothing different. The only difference is the color of the wireframe. But the wireframe in Blender is a bit refined. The anti-alias of the wireframe, you see, it's very subtle here, and it has a little bit of difference in color for what is in the back and what is in the front. If you go to 3D Max, you can see here, right? The colors are the same, right? It can be easily, you can confuse easily here what is there, what is here. For us, we have experience in 3D, so we go exactly where the point that we want. But in Blender is a bit nicer because it always given a level of fade, an extra fade according to what is in front, what is behind. So you always can tell that these wheels are behind this guy here, right? You always can tell that. For example, if we go to edit the object, we know that this thing that is happening here is behind the other guy here. For example, you can tell by the layers what's going on there, what's going on here, right? You see there's a bit of information which it can make your life easier, like in terms of understanding the mesh while you are playing around. Of course, this model is triangulated, so you are seeing here way more triangles than you see in your 3D Max model, for example. In there you are seeing very much this guy. You are seeing like, you know, now it's gonna crash because I never know if this will subdivide. So yeah, very much you are seeing this, right? You are seeing this here. See, if we put side by side, we can compare, and you guys can see which wireframe it's easier to understand the mesh. You see that here it's much easier to understand what's going on the entire thing. You know, that's what I'm saying. The wireframe is a little bit more refined, so you can understand more what's going on here, right? But apart from that, right, let's go to the regular mode. What happened? If you want to select something inside the object and start to play around with, it's very nice that you have this option here in Blender, which is let me put the shortcuts. I always forget to do this, guys. Sorry, right? Okay, now you can see what I'm gonna do. Okay, you go everywhere in every moment of your scene. You press Alt+B, right? And then it creates a rectangle box. If you put a rectangle box wherever place you are and you release that, this is gonna basically cut it out your mesh virtually. You know, actually it's not cutting anything, right? It's just a matter of dividing that and preserving just what is inside the box for you to visualize your model, so you can do all the tweaks you want here without any problem. You know, you can go here and change your mesh and do whatever you want, and then you keep going, right? And then if you want to come back and see what is going on, you press Alt+B again. So Alt+B, right? Let's say you want to see what's going on, you want to play around with the car, what's going on inside the car, right? So let's say on the components, you press here and then you can go here, you can tweak your components here and there, right? You can go here, play around, modify everything, and then you come back, Alt+B, gone, right? So this is amazing, because when you have a big scene, or when you have a building or something, and you want to just see that floor, but maybe the building was attached for some reason, it was modeled for somewhere else, and that person doesn't model like you, but I have to tweak that part. You just split it up this way, you check it out, you do your thing, and then you Alt+B again, and it comes back, and it's easy, and it's very, very nice, and I can tell you, it's very, very handy to do that, right? Another thing for selection, the last thing that I didn't supposed to comment here because it wasn't the topic for this thing. Let's say you have this car, right? Let's duplicate this. And let's see, my max is here. Let's do a quick test here. Alright. Come on. Right? Let's duplicate this car. Let's duplicate again. By the way, the material of this car is that's why you are seeing like this, because the material of this car is set it up for me to basically every time I copy this car, it copies with a different color, right? You see? It copies with a different color. That was a setup that I did years ago when I basically was translating that library from Max to Blender. So just to facilitate my life, right? Okay, let's say you have this car here in Blender. You select the same thing. You can keep selecting, and then it's gonna try to select what is behind, right? Like here in 3D Max, you have this guy, and Max shows you which mesh you can select with a outliner, right? And then let's say you have a bunch of things here, like a table full of objects, right? And it starts to be a little bit tricky to understand what object is there that you want to select, because you have a lots of things going on your scene and you never know. Let's see, let's put this box, let's put this sphere or whatever. Something like that, right? And let's say you have here, so you know, you don't have access, your mouse doesn't go through the object to hit the mesh over there, so it's hard to understand what you want to select if you are in this angle, right? I mean, it's amazing when you put your mouse on top of it and your outlines. It's awesome, but if you have a lot of geometry in front of it, it doesn't allow you to do that, right? Blender, by the way, if you have all these cars here, it doesn't show you the outline as a 3D Max does, right? It just shows after you select, and then it shows the outline, right? But Blender has this nice tool, which is pressing Alt, and pressing to select, and it's gonna pop up this menu asking you what object do you want to select, right? And that's amazing, because if your objects are named, doesn't matter, whatever you choose here, it's gonna select that object, right? Let's put a Suzanne here. Let's say, Suzanne, where are you? Here's my Suzanne. Amazing Suzanne. Love you so much. Here you go, Suzanne. Okay, put Suzanne here, right? Let's do a couple copies of Suzanne. Let's do a couple copies. Okay. So right now, if you press Alt and press Select, it's gonna ask which of them you want to select. If they're named like candle, books, this, that, you select, you see, it's gonna select that. So that's very handy as well. Unfortunately, this doesn't work on an edit mode, because in edit mode you are selecting vertices, edges, or mesh, and it's another thing. But for object mode, that's another great thing. Another thing, for example, now we are seeing the shades on Workbench, which is one kind of way of visualize that. I'm using cycles here, so we have Workbench, cycles. Cycles is the render engine, right? So it's just a regular path trace, so we are rendering cycles. And here is the Workbench. In none of them Alt+B works, right? Neither in cycles not encircled neither in or in the workbench. The only way you can really see this working, the Alt+B, is here, right? It's here. Let's say if you are in your workbench and you press Alt+B and you do this, nothing is gonna happen. It's not gonna show you anything. But if you go back to your shade mode, you see that you kind of split it up, everything. Alt+B again, you come back, right? Alt+B, you split it up, your cars, so work here inside, and then Alt+B, get back. Well, I hope this helps you somehow to get along with faster way of modeling, faster way with dealing a mesh inside Blender, and this helps me a lot. I can tell you, I cannot work without it anymore, because once you get used with the tool, it just boosts your workflow, right? So that's the thing, and I hope you enjoy, guys. I'm gonna try to make more videos this week. It's been very busy for me these last days and weeks, but I will keep going and ask any question on the comments below, and I will answer you as soon as it's possible, right? And see you soon. Bye.